Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I would like to acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe and Cree and Dakota people, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning. And introducing the panel members is Mr. Robert, to my left is Mr. Robert Balinki, and to his left is Bill Moretsky. Our assessor this morning is Amanda Kilgore, and our recording secretary is Stephen Lund. This morning we'll be hearing an application for revision of assessments role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application and will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicant or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence by the Board of Revision. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the City Administration. It makes their decisions based on the evidence provided at the hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to application for exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this morning, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the other applicant may have, and then there'll be the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application is brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after the application has been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. I will do one other thing here. I neglected to do something here to the Zoom. To the Zoom participants, the hearing, please note that you were placed in the waiting room until the property is called upon, and then it will be your turn and you may be admitted to the meeting. Please follow along with the City of Board Revision YouTube channel of the hearing process. Once the host admits you to the hearing, please close and mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak in respects to the property once the hearing is concluded, you may leave. With that said, I ask if anybody has cell phones, please mute them. We will now have the assessor, who is Amanda Kilgore, sworn in.
Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
Amanda Kilborn.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We will first go to (725) Maryland Street. And we'll have you, that is you, sir, we'll have you sworn in
Can you stand up?
or affirmed, either one.
And Mr. Appleton, please state your full name.
My name is Dewey Hewen Nguyen.
You affirm that the truth you're about to give this hearing, the evidence you're about to give this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
As I stated, sir, we'll ask the assessor to take us through your property, and they will describe it and state how they have calculated value. So, Ms. Kilgore, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
Okay, so this is for 725 Maryland Street. The property is located in the Daniel McIntyre neighborhood. It's a 1 3/4 story single family dwelling built in 1907. It's 1,332 square feet with an unfinished basement, 2 bathrooms and a detached garage. The lot size is 2,943 square feet. It has a bus, commercial adjacent and traffic influence. The comparable properties are 727 Maryland Street, 636 William Avenue, 650 Simcoe Street, and 554 Maryland Street. They are all 1 3/4 single family dwellings, except for 554 Maryland is a 1.5 story. The effective years built range from 1903 to 1936, and the square footages range from 1,187 to 1,332 square feet. The comparables all have unfinished basements, except for 555 Maryland has a small portion of finished basement for a bathroom down there. Comparables 1, 2, and 3 have 1 bathroom, and comparable 4 has 2 bathrooms. Comparable 4 is the only one with central air conditioning, and it also has a detached garage. Their lot sizes range from 2,187 square feet to 3,506 square feet. Comparables 1, 2, and 4 have a traffic, commercial, and bus route influence, and comparable 3 has a school influence. The time adjusted sale price for the comparables is $100,100 to $198,600. Comparable 4 would be superior to the subject, but is on the same street with the same influence. Comparable 1s and 2s are the most comparable to the subject property. Comparable 1 is actually next door to the subject property. And I believe that the value of $116,000 should be maintained based on these sales.
Thank you. Sir, do you have any questions of what you just heard from the assessment department?
The only place that I agree with is the next door, like 727 Maryland Street. But the other ones aren't very close to where I live. Because like right across where I live is like a beer store and a bar. So the other properties are not close by.
So is that a question to the assessor, sir?
Yes.
What was the question, sorry?
My question is, how come the comparables, they're the only one that's close in vicinity is 727? Because the other ones aren't across from a bar or a store.
So 636 William, I picked that one. It's just on the other side of Notre Dame. It's close to the Health Science Center, so there would be lots of traffic. I picked that one. And then 554 Maryland is on the same street. I know it's a few blocks down, but those were the best comparables that had a traffic, commercial adjacent influence. So the one at 636 Williams is very close to Health Science, and it has a commercial property just behind it as well. So it's on a busier street in a busier location like yours. So 1 and 2, comparables 1 and 2 would be the most comparable to your subject. They both don't have a garage as well. So yours has a garage and an extra bathroom than those two properties. And a little bit larger of a lot as well.
My question I want to ask is, I was trying to get records on like values of places being sold, because this year 727 Maryland, where I live next to, it got purchased. And what it was is that it was on the market for like 3 years and no one bought it. And then I recently talked to the new homeowner. They told me that they bought the property for $160,000. But originally it was on the market for 220, and for 3 years no one bought it. And eventually, they had a post in there, but I couldn't find the ad anymore. It was for
Okay, so I think you're getting into your evidence, okay? So, just questions of, what you've heard from the city. So anything further?
No.
Berlinky, questions of the assessor? Robert?
Oh, no, no questions.
Bill, any questions of the assessor?
Yeah, so only the comparable number 3, Simcoe, that is not like a busy street like the other.
No, it's not as busy, no, but it's across from a school. So I mean, there is that type of difference, but it's the least busy of the other, of all the comparables.
All right. No other questions?
I just have one, Ms. Coburn, comparable cell number 4, seems to be a little out of whack compared to the other 3 comparables. So it's sold here for $193,400.
Yeah. It would have more upgrades. It's superior to the subject in that sense. It is on the same street as the subject property, so it does deal with the same influences as the subject, but it definitely is higher due to it has newer flooring, newer lighting, that type of thing. And it does have a detached double garage, so the garage would be a little bit larger than the subject's.
Let's see, I thank you. Sure, the floor is yours. And do you have any presentation? I just note that there is nothing on our screen here.
Oh, it's because I couldn't get any evidence. Like I asked to see if I can.
Okay, so
sell
you can
records.
do a verbal presentation.
Okay. Where to start? My question is, do you have the value of how much the 727 property got purchased for recently? Because I know that it got purchased this year.
No, I don't have that information because we're only looking at sales within our reference period. So anything after April 2021, I don't look at or consider.
Because what happened was I was told by the new owners they bought for $160,000, and previously the previous owner, he was trying to sell it for $220,000, and he's been trying to sell it for 3 years. And then what ended up happening is when he increased the price, he was trying to sell for $170 because he actually approached me to ask if I knew anyone that wanted to buy the property next door. And so, but the difference between my property and his property is that place has about $40,000 of renovations, where my property hasn't had any renovations done at all. The only thing I had done is just a new fridge. That's it.
So what do you think the value should be of your property?
I think it should just remain the same.
I'm sorry?
It should remain the same because there's nothing done to it.
Okay, and for the record, can you state that value, please?
That would be 110,000 property value. It's because there's no work has been done on the place.
And that's your presentation, sir?
Yeah. Oh, the only thing I gotta mention is that did you take into consideration like inflation and interest rates that's going? Because from what I heard, that probably next year house prices all across Canada will drop.
That would be what we would look at for the following reassessment in 2025. We look at time periods of sales. So for this assessment, we're looking at April 2019 to April 2021. And then for 2025, we'd look at what happens with sales in that time period. So we do a reassessment every 2 years.
Okay, that's about it.
Okay. Second, Mr. Berlinky, questions of the applicant?
No, I don't. No questions.
Okay, Bill, any questions?
So can you repeat, how much did you say your neighbor 727 paid for the house at 7?
They told me it was $160,000.
160?
160, yeah.
And that was this year?
That was this year. They were the previous owner. I don't know the name. He was trying to sell it for $220,000, but for 3 years he wasn't able to sell it. And I did see an ad online for 170. That's what also the previous guy told me. And then yeah, I tried to print out the copy of the ad, and it was but like I said, I tried to call city to get some kind of proof that it got bought for hundreds of thousands, but they said due to privacy reasons they can't.
And you said he had put in about $40,000 for the renovation
On the ad,
after he bought it, or? Obviously,
no, this is when they're trying to sell it, they put $40,000 into the actual renovation. So my neighbor who bought the place, it's already been renovated.
Okay.
Like everything is
So that
already
would explain the
done. Where
discrepancy then
compared
with
to
the-
my place, it hasn't been done.
Okay. No further question.
I thank you. Either party want summation at all? Ms. Kilgore?
I believe the value should be maintained based on the sales of the comparable properties.
I thank you. Anything further?
I think it should just remain the same because I didn't do any renovations to my place. And then 727 Maryland, the place next door to mine, sold for a lot less.
Thank you very kindly for your presentation. We'll let you know very soon in regards to the results.
All right,
So
thank you.
thank you. We'll go on to the next one, which is 206 De Rozier Drive. So, Mr. Lund, I think we have somebody waiting.
Mr. Arpin, would you please come on camera?
Yes, hi there. My apologies. There appears to be a lag with the YouTube. I'm here now.
Not a problem. So I will just affirm you into the hearing very quickly. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Bruno Arpin?
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
So we'll have the assessor take us through their presentation in regards to their value. So Ms. Kilgore, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this is for 206 De Rozier Drive. The property is located in the Canterbury Park neighborhood. It's a two-story single-family dwelling built in 2021. It's 2,760 square feet with an unfinished basement, 4 bathrooms, one fireplace, and attached garage. The lot size is 7,104 square feet, and there is a retention pond influence. The comparable properties are all located in the same neighborhood. There are 52 Field House Way, 132 Remy Clays Crescent, 103 Nevins Bay, and 62 Harlow Bay. They're all two-story single-family dwellings built between 2009 and 2020. The square footages range from 2,221 to 2,601 square feet. 132 Remy Place has a finished basement. The rest do not. They all have 3 bathrooms. 132 Remy Place has 4 bathrooms, and they all have central air conditioning. They all have fireplace, except for 5 Fieldhouse Way does not. They all have attached garages, and their lot sizes range from 4,797 to 10,611 square feet. The 52 Fieldhouse has a retention pond influence, and 62 Harlow has a bus and commercial and traffic influence. The time adjusted price of the comparables, it ranges from $474,800 to $575,900, or $196,62 to $246,92 per square foot. And so I believe that the value of 609 should be maintained. The subject property is quite a bit larger than most of the comps, newer than most of the comps, and has the retention pond adjacent influence. So I believe that value should be maintained.
Thank you, Ms. Kilborn.
Thank you.
Questions of the assessor, Mr. Harpen?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Belinsky?
No questions.
Bill?
Yeah, so just getting to the retention pond. I know, just to clarify, the retention pond in this case is a positive influence on the value, correct?
Yes, correct.
No further questions.
Thank you. Amanda, the subject property was built in 2021.
Yes.
Was there a building permit taken out?
Yes, there would be a building permit taken out.
And did you look at that at all?
I looked at it, yes.
And you want to tell us about that?
Like, what do you mean? Like this?
What value was stated in there?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
What value was stated in the building
Oh,
permit?
the value for the permit? Yeah, I can give you that in 1 second. So the value for the build was just under 340,000 for the building. That doesn't include land.
I see that the comparables are not really close to the evaluation for the subject. So
The subject is quite a bit larger. There's very few comparables in that area that are that size, the 2760. The closest one would be 103 Nevins. That was built in 2009, and it's not on the retention pond. But all the rest of the comparables are quite a bit, at least 500 to 500 square feet smaller than the subject property.
what about comparable number 1? That backs onto the retention pond.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, it's that.
And it's about
smaller, right?
over 500, yeah, over 500 square feet smaller, and it does back onto the retention pond.
All right. I thank you. Sir, we're ready for your presentation. So the floor is yours.
Okay, I'll try and not take any missteps being newer to the process. So I want to start by thanking the board and thanking the city assessment department for taking the time to go through the process. I've submitted information previously as required, so I will stick to that information. I first want to start by confirming that I have received and reviewed the city provided comparables and agree that for the purposes of generating a comparable analysis using properties in the vicinity, I will say that I believe all but one were samples in both of our pools of properties assessed. You'll notice that I'm a professional engineer by trade, so I use numbers to, if you will, go through the valuation process. So if you would, I'd like to take a moment to maybe explain the process that I took in my trying to come up with what I felt was a fair valuation for the property being 206 Derosier Drive. First, you'll notice that I took a much larger sample size than the 4 comparable properties. I believe I had probably over 40 plus comparable properties. That being said, comparable in the sense that they're within the area. What I wanted to first demonstrate to the board and city is that it costs a lot more per square foot to build a smaller square footage home. So what I did is I went through the Canterbury area, and you'll notice I've by address and sorted by square footage from smallest to largest the properties, and then gave additional information as to its type, 2-story, 1-story, cab over, and then provided the time adjusted sale prices. Developed a similar cost per square foot, and then I simply multiplied that cost per square foot by the square footage of the 206 Derosier property. What we can see is by simply projecting those numbers, if you're using the smaller is telling you that those houses, if using a simple linear comparison, are $800,000, $900,000 homes, which is not the case, simply put. So what I did is I then wanted to narrow the sample size, having confirmed that, and wanted to demonstrate that it really wasn't a linear relationship. And the reason we built a larger family home is that I knew, or I believed, that it should cost less per square foot. The data tells us that. So when using comparables, I mention this because I believe it's important to understand that as your square footage goes up, you can assume a linear or comparable square footage to those smaller homes. Cost should be the lesser. So taking the data size, I've then highlighted in orange, if you will, the larger homes. So that means any home that was 2,000 square feet or larger, and I generated a sample size of 9 properties within the same vicinity, including the Fieldhouse property, which is the most, I would say, recent, relevant, and comparable. I do want to note that although we have a retention pond, this neighborhood is not a walkout neighborhood. It is a lookout neighborhood, which certainly I would say is still a benefit to the property, but doesn't bring value similar to, say, other neighborhoods that have that additional added ability of having a walkout. So certainly that was a consideration. Surrounding influences include rail yards, the perimeter highway. So certainly that affects all properties, but certainly makes the case that we are in an area with other influences than maybe some of it to date. The Fieldhouse property, also along the retention pond, most recent similar sale within direct influence, has a much larger pond side yard, 30% larger to be specific. That influence, in my opinion, is important to note, such that it really adds to, although the lot size may seem large at that 7,000 square foot, I do wish to note that a majority of that, in fact, has an easement with the city, such that it is a naturalized area where no development is allowed. It becomes an owner responsibility. So it's actually an added cost to the owners that are responsible to maintain this area. It isn't just available green space for one's leisure. And the lot itself, if you know, it's a reverse pie, which means that I have a very wide lot at the front in terms of frontage, which means I have to maintain a generally large city portion of land, being that it's my direct frontage. But I have quite a narrow, you'll note, and quite not very deep backyard, especially in comparison to Fieldhouse. So speaking to the influences, now what I did in averaging the data that was shown in orange is I wanted to make the case that when we use the comparables, you'll notice that I have a value that says 115% at the very bottom right-hand corner of the table. What that shows is by simply using the averages in comparison to the averages from the previous stabilized 3-year data set, so the 2016 to 2018 going to 2019 to 2021, it results in a 15% increase, right? So to me, that seemed, wow, that's very high, but it confirmed my suspicion that the cost per square foot should be the lesser than what the data is telling us. So I presented a CTV article that was published in 2020, where it looked at both real estate sales here in Winnipeg, specifically, as well as the national average. And I thought this information was interesting. And to me, I'd like to share that in 2019, the average house of a home in Winnipeg, including 2-story homes, was $321,000, right? So that resulted in a 7.4% increase from the same time the previous year, so the prior assessment year. 7.4% on a $321,000 valuation. Now that's based on a home that would be about half the cost of the valuation that we're discussing now. Now, looking at the national average, which is more in line with the cost of the property that we're discussing at around $648,000, over that same year-over-year increase, it wasn't 7.4%. It was in fact 2.2%. Okay. So now what I did is, I'm just going to kind of walk you through some of my math or notes is I looked at, in 2022, there was in fact a 6% increase, right? So kind of more aligning, if you will, with the average valuation of the home. Winnipeg is 7.4. That's a $34,000 increase, right? Using percentages and increases in valuation. Now, if we go back to the data published by CTV, a 7.4% increase on an average cost of a $321,000 home is a $24,000 increase, right? So that's $10,000 lesser than the 34 that's currently assessed. When considering a cost of a national average home, which I will say includes homes in Winnipeg as well, right? For those that are more in the $649,000 range in cost, it's a 2.2%. That's $14,000 increase. So in terms of the range of valuation increase based on available data, I'd say that we're probably in the $14,000 to $24,000 range, but I would certainly say that I believe we're more in line with the national average, such that we saw a steeper increase on those lower cost, more affordable homes than those that come at a higher cost. The other thing that I want to close and maybe just bring to attention is we're speaking to a valuation right now of 609. And if we look at all of the data sets that's been presented, there's no home that's ever sold for anything near that valuation. Even the most recent sale along Fieldhouse Way, that was 549, so under $550,000. The largest square footage home with a lesser influence sold significantly less than $511,000. So in terms of the information I wanted to provide, this is what I wanted to go through. Again, I want to thank the board and the city for their time and open to any questions should there be.
Thank you. Ms. Kilborn, questions of the applicant?
I just have a question to make sure our records are up. Do you have central air conditioning?
I don't.
No. Okay, so we have that as no. No, I don't have any questions on his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Berlinke?
No questions.
Mr. Goreski?
So on your presentation, you have 115%. You're saying it's 115% increase from the average cost 2019 to 2021 compared to the average cost 2016 to 2018. Correct?
Correct.
So that's a 3-year period then, correct?
A 3-year data set, correct.
Okay, so that's 5% a year?
This is using averages projecting forward. So if you were to look at actual numbers, it would probably align more with the 7% over the same period. The intent of what I wanted to demonstrate with 115% was that when projecting forward on a linear basis, that's comparing the cost projected forward, assuming the home is 2,760 square feet. Not based on actuals. That is a projected hypothesized cost.
Okay, but I just want to get to the crux of your case, or what case that you're making here, that you believe that the houses did not go up as much as what's being presented by the city, correct? Is that
The initial data set presented was there to demonstrate that if we project forward by simply multiplying a square footage by a cost per square foot, that is not a reliable means such that the increase is too great at a 15% increase.
Can you repeat that, please? What you just said? Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Please repeat.
Can you repeat what you just said again? I just didn't quite get it.
So the 115% number compares, as you correctly noted, the previous 2016 to 2018 and 2019 to 2021 data sets. Now, how I come up with those averaged values that I presented is by using existing data, coming up with a cost per square foot, and multiplying it by the square footage of the 206 Roger property, being 2,760 square feet.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay.
So your data shows 115% over a 3-year period, correct?
Assuming that we're relying on the data as being projected, yes.
Okay, so how does that relate to your property now?
I think that's
your property did not go up it went up more than that? Than what your data is showing?
No, the city actually assessed it at an increase of 6%. But the reason I demonstrated and am sharing the 15% increase data is to demonstrate that it is, I don't believe for a larger square foot home, necessarily the best data set to be using to be generating a cost. So the only purpose for providing this data was to show that using the same multiplier is not a reliable data set such that the increase itself is too large. So that's where then I went and looked, and through the CTV article was able to confirm that 15% was in fact significantly notable higher. So the point I'm making is that there certainly has been both a local and national increase, but I believe that the increase in percentage increase for properties in the order of magnitude of 600,000 versus the national average of around just over 300, there's a notable change in percentages. So currently, the city proposed increase aligns with the average home around the 6%, whereas I'm saying that I believe it's more aligning with the 2% being a national average, which also includes homes.
Okay, got it. No further questions.
Thank you. Sir, this is a custom built house.
In a way, yes.
Yeah. You have a contractor?
It's the same contractor that does all of the developments, but they have a custom division when you start to make changes to the layout of a custom plan. So to answer your question, yes, but
So was it vacant land before, or did you knock down a house or something like that?
no, it was agricultural that I believe was rezoned and it was turned into development here. So this is a new build in a new development.
So just offhand, what's your total involvement in regards to cost? Land, building?
Well, I can say I believe the land cost was around 140. I don't believe 50. But let's assume 50 just to be safe, as they say. And I believe the building permit valuation 340, I believe, listed. So, right?
So
Plus recent landscape.
So how much is your total involvement then? About 450?
No, I think after additional, probably more like 550.
So, you've done all kinds of work here. So I'm just, but I think, I don't see, on your street, would you say you have the most expensive house on the street?
I don't know how to answer that because I believe that this home that I have caters to a large family who may want to live on a smaller lot with a nice influence of a pond. But again, I know a lot of people I've talked to, I don't think this would be the property for them. So I really think that's how I have to answer that question.
Okay, so you're here this morning and what do you think the assessment should be?
I think that the assessment should align with the national average of a 2.2% increase, which is around $14,000 from the previously assessed.
Yeah. Do you have a figure in total?
That would be 589.
I'm sorry?
$589,000.
So if you put your house up for sale, would that be the figure that you would be after?
I'm going to say that would probably be a different assessment year. And I really,
okay.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Like you say, we're dealing with 2021 V-Day. It's not really a fair question.
That's okay. My apologies. I just didn't know how to answer.
That's fine. Ms. Kilborn, any questions?
No, I don't have questions, no.
Summation, either party?
I feel that based on the size, the age of the home and the pond influence, that the values should be maintained at the 609.
Final words, sir?
I believe that the valuation should be more in line with that of the national average. Thank you.
All right. I thank you very kindly for your presentation and results very shortly.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
We'll go to 1066 McIver. Gentlemen, who's ever given evidence, you get you sworn in. Yes.
Before you take a seat, I'll affirm you.
Please do.
Your applicant, please state your full name.
Robert John McLaughlin.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Morning, Mr. McLaughlin.
Good morning.
You're familiar with the proceedings?
Somewhat.
All right. Ms. Kilborn, take us through this property, please.
Okay, this is for 1066 McIver Avenue. The property is located in the Springfield North neighborhood. It's a one-story single-family dwelling built in 2005. It's 1,974 square feet with an unfinished basement, 2 bathrooms, air conditioning, a fireplace, and an attached garage. The lot size is 10,017 square feet with a traffic influence. The comparable properties are all in the same neighborhood. It's 35 Alfred Penner Bay, 56 Mitchelson Way, 66 Strongbird Drive, 680 Knowles Avenue. They're all one-story single-family dwellings. Comparable 4 is a bi-level. They're built between 1993 and 2010. The square footages range from 1,537 to 1,750 square feet. Comparables 1 and 2 have an unfinished basement, and comparables 3 and 4 have finished basements. Comparables 1 and 2 have 2 bathrooms, and comparables 3 and 4 have 3 bathrooms. Their lot sizes range from 7,239 to 11,489 square feet. Comparable 1 has a traffic and hydrobox corner influence, and comparable 3 has a hydrobox influence. The time adjusted price of the comparables ranges from 452,400 to 504,800, or 284 to 312.76 a square foot. Comparable 1 and 2 are smaller than the subject property, but they have unfinished basements like the subject property. And comparables 3 and 4 are closer in size, but they do have the finished basement. I believe the value of 535 should be maintained.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions of the assessor?
No, sir.
Rothman?
Have you visited the property? Have you inspected the property?
No, I have not.
Are you familiar with the location?
Yes.
Although you have comparables that are within a subdivision, would you agree that the subject property is outside that subdivision?
I believe that it's on McIver, so it's a little bit further away from them. Yes.
Do you think that homes within the subdivision are more desirable than the homes outside the subdivision on perhaps a busier street?
I don't know. I would say that they could be. I mean, the subject property has a larger lot, so that could be more desirable to someone. So no, I would say it would depend on the person.
But there is a chance that the busier street would be a deterrent.
The traffic would be an influence, and we have that on our records stating that there is a traffic influence for McIver. Yes.
I'm curious about your time adjustments. Can you perhaps explain how that's arrived at?
Well, just based on sales that took place within our reference period, the time adjustment is for the average increase for that neighborhood. I believe it's an 11%. Let me just take a quick look. We're in market region 2. Just 1 second. Oh, where is it? Yeah, so the neighborhood increase for that area would be roughly 12%. So we time adjust it to be what the value would be for April 1st, 2021.
So the time adjustment is not stratified then? It's for all properties sold within a specific area? You don't
we look at
bungalows as opposed to 2 stories as opposed to...
Yeah, like the sales are compared to other sales of similar type properties, and then so that's the average. Some houses could be higher, some could be lower. There's no specific, but that's the average for the neighborhood. But yes, we're only comparing his property to 1-story properties in the neighborhood. So I'm not looking at what 2 stories or bungalow or like 4-level splits or condos or anything like that.
I understand that, but when you're time adjusting, are you time adjusting bungalows, period, or is it split, or is everything lumped together?
No, it's not lumped together. There's different models for each type of property.
Okay, so I assume that this particular property, because it's a 2-bedroom, it was time adjusted with other 2-bedroom homes in the area?
We go by square footage. So we look at the total square footage of the property.
Do you think that a 2-bedroom home is less desirable than a large 2-bedroom home is less desirable than a multi-bedroom home?
I think that it depends on the purchaser, and a larger home, larger rooms, that could be desirable. It all depends. We look at the total square footage. So a 1,900 square foot 1-story is definitely desirable. It'd be large rooms, large space.
Do any of your comparables have 2 bedrooms?
No, they're all 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms or more?
3 bedrooms. The comparables that I have, the ones that I used.
All right. As far as location, have you been by the property? I'm sorry, did you ask that?
No, I didn't do an inspection, no.
Are you aware that there are no storm sewers on that particular stretch of
I'm sorry.
There are no storm sewers. There are
Okay.
ditches in front of the property.
Yes, I knew that there's ditches, yes.
Has there been an adjustment made for that?
No.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Belansky?
I have no questions.
Bill, any questions?
So do you take the number of bedrooms into consideration in the comparables?
No, it's the total square footage is what we look at.
So you don't look at bedrooms then?
No.
Okay, which is why you don't have it in your
Mhm.
comparable chart. I just want to get back to the time adjustment again that was brought up. Previous questioning. You said the neighborhood time adjusted is 11%.
It's 12%. The average increase from the previous assessment is the average is 12.
Okay, from the previous assessment.
From the previous assessment, yes.
So not per year. From the previous
No.
assessment.
No.
All right. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Corporal Kilborn, sorry. For sales, 1 and 2 and 3. These sit in a little pocket, don't they not?
Mm-hmm.
And so the one on Knowles is outside of the pocket, as is the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So as the applicant had mentioned, there's no storm sewers, and there are ditches in close to the on those streets, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So would an adjustment be made for, being outside of the pocket?
Well, we don't have an adjustment made for that. I mean, there's the traffic influence that is used, but other than that, we don't have an adjustment for that, no.
So all of your comparables are the sale wise, and I look at the sale before the time adjustment.
Mhm.
And one of them happened in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And but I don't see anything close to where the assessment is. It's approximately, I think the only one close is the one on Knowles.
Mm-hmm.
So this, I'm trying to figure out.
Well, the subject is larger than all of the subject property or all of the comparable properties. It's newer than comps 1 and 3. They were built in the 90s. So you have to take that into consideration as well.
I'm just looking at 1, 2, and 3, and and looking at.
They're all like at least 200 to 400 square feet smaller.
What I'm saying here is that it's approximately $100,000 less. The comparables compared to where the assessment is at. Other than
the first 2 comparables, yes, but not the other ones. Yeah, it's over 400 square feet larger than the first 2 comparables, but those are the ones that had unfinished basements as well. So I picked those ones. And the other 2 are closer in size, but still smaller. So I had to take that into consideration. It's larger, significantly larger than most of them.
all right. I thank you. Mr. McLaughlin, I think we're ready for your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, I provided some information. I do have other information or supplementary information, which is the same information just broken down. Would you allow me to present that?
Well,
or I can speak to it. It's your choice.
If it's redundant, as you stated, but new, like,
It's, what I presented is, I provided, I believe, 7 sales. What I do have is basically the sales broken down and explained a little bit.
well, you could probably do that verbally.
I can do that
Other than, because it's almost like new information and.
Whatever you're comfortable with, certainly, I'm fine with that.
Maybe we'll just take maybe a couple minute break. We'll turn down the camera and.
Perhaps the assessor would have an opinion on this.
Well, it's up to the panel members.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah. So maybe we'll shut it down. Thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. In regards to the additional, the other stuff that you wanted to present, we'll let you do it verbally. Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I would like to point out right off from the outset that the assessor has stated the average increase was 12% between reassessments. And we are sitting here at a 17% increase on this particular property, which we already know from the question that is perhaps functionally obsolete in the fact that it's only 2 bedrooms. And it does not have storm sewers, and it's outside a subdivision, which maybe limits family participation on the front street because there's no sidewalks, and it's a little more busy than it would be right in the middle of a subdivision. At any rate, I have presented comparables, and I'll name them: 47 Green Meadows, 34 Regatta, 491 Headmaster, 816 McIver, 27 Harwood, 495 Headmaster, and 354 Bonner. Now these are, I'll say this up front, that they're all nice houses. Yes, they're not as big as the subject. The houses that the assessor provided were all nice houses. I'm not saying that they're not. These particular houses, though, started with 47 Green Meadow. The sale price was $419,000 in May of 18. 1,700 square feet, and it sold for $247 a square foot. It has a rec room, 2 baths, and a 56 by 105 foot lot.
Mr. McLaughlin, can I just interrupt for 1 second? Is there a sale date in here somewhere?
There ought to be a sale date right at the top of the.
I'm sorry?
There ought to be a sale date right at the top.
Okay, at the top. 22?
No.
I can't find that where the sale date is. I'm looking at Green Meadow, number 47. And where?
May I have a look at what you?
Yeah. This is yours. Okay. So I'm not sure where the sale date is. Okay. If you want to take a seat. Okay. Yeah, so offhand, can you tell me when the sale date was?
2018.
My point, I guess, Mr. McLaughlin, is they're not post-reference at all?
No, sir.
Okay.
I don't see it there.
Yeah. So we'll eventually dig that up. Anyways, continue on with your presentation.
So what I'm doing is I'm comparing these. This particular property sold for $419,900 or $247 a square foot, and has a rec room and 2 baths. 816 McIver, which sold in March of 2019. Sold for $400,000. It's a 1,713 square foot bungalow, and it sold for $234 a square foot. It has a rec room, 2 baths, and a 60 by 167 lot. 354 Bonner sold in June of 20 for $520,000. This is a very nice home, done to the nines, 1,714 square feet. It sold for $303 a square foot. It's on Buns Creek. It has a rec room, 3 baths, and a sunroom, and an irregular 50 by 145 foot lot. 495 Headmaster, June of 2019, sold for $405. It's 1,780 square feet. It sold for $228 a square foot. It has an in-ground pool. It's a bit dated. A rec room, 2.5 baths, and a large 58 by 174 foot lot. 34 Regatta, September of 20, $440,000. 1,827 square feet. It sold for $241 a square foot. Now, it is a lakefront on one of the retention ponds. It has 3.5 baths and an irregular 68 by 171 foot bylaw. 27 Harwood, September 9 of 2019, sold for $385. It's 1,800 square feet. Sold for $214 a square foot. It's a bit dated. It has a rec room and 3.5 baths. And the last one is 491 Headmaster. Sold September of 18 for $425,000. It's 1,724 square feet, and it sold for $247 a square foot. Now, the average sale price of all these particular homes is $427,000, and the average per square foot sale price was $245. Now, the reason I chose these particular properties is because they're outside of a proper newer subdivision. They have various neighborhood features, much to the same effect as the subject property. I feel that the current assessment of $535,000 for a 1,972 square foot home is excessive. The assessed square footage number is $271 a square foot. What I would suggest is a reduction of approximately 13% to $465,000 or $236 a square foot, which takes it into the range of my comparables. It is similarly located, and it has less features. It has a 2-bedroom. It has 2 bedrooms and no storm sewer, so I feel that it is comparable. I feel that in a situation like this, that the assessor is almost creating a market rather than reflecting a market, considering the fact that she has an average increase of 12%, and yet the subject property is so much higher. So, Mr. Chairman, I ask that the assessment be reduced from $535,000 to $465,000. That's my evidence, subject to any questions.
Well, can you just, I think I got 455 and the rate per square foot?
465,
465.
and it's $236.
I thank you. Ms. Kilgore, Warren, questions of the applicant? Amanda, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I was on.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Questions?
I just have a question. I looked at the sales that were provided. All the sales are built from like 1977 to 1989. They're significantly older than the subject property. So I feel that should be taken into consideration. Like the value of these properties is, the subject is 2005 built, so 25 to 30 years older. For the sales that he provided, and he also there was no time adjustment on those sales. So So the price per square foot and the price should be higher than that, looking at the time adjustment for all of those sales. So I just think that the comparables used in my comparables are more closer to the age of the home. A 2005 home should not be compared to a 1977 or a 1985 home.
I would state, though, that although she is correct that they are, some of them are older.
They're all older.
It was back in 1982 when they started building 2x6 construction, and typically everybody had tri-pane windows. So the bones of these particular homes are for the most part, except for the 77 one, are the same as the subject property. And I outlined a couple of them that weren't renovated, but for the most part, these are all up to date and nice homes, much like the subject property is, and that's why I chose them. Thank you.
Amanda, any more questions?
No, I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
So of all those comparative properties that you brought up there, if you had to pick two of them as your best two, which would they be?
Best two.
That best supports your case.
Well, I would try to get the number in the area up higher, closer to the subject property, and none of them are 2 bedrooms. Probably location-wise, 47 Green Meadow and
Okay, just
495 Headmaster.
okay, those two, 47 Green Meadow. So you had submitted that with your information, correct? Right, you had submitted that?
Yes,
Okay, I think I see you now.
I didn't tell you my best two though.
Okay.
That was a secret.
So this one is 419,900. At what date? What date did it sell?
47 Green Meadow was May of 18.
So
Now, the information that I've offered to provide, I apologize, is just everything that is these properties. That is, there's nothing new. It's just, anyway, we made just a decision, and it would just be easier if I could hand these out. And the other one was 495 Headmaster, and that was June of 19. Yes.
and that one went for what?
405.
Okay, so do you agree that there would be an increase in from 2019, 2018 to 2021 with the increase in value? Like
Marginally, I mean, that's the way things have been. Often that's not the case. Back then, less so than, of course, currently, which we're not dealing with currently. The things weren't going bananas just at that point yet.
So these values,
Well,
if let's just say they're all 18 and 19, let's call it 19 for simplicity's sake. So you would agree that there's be some adjustment to the price based on 2021,
well,
10% or something.
the previous applicant made a relevant point, and that is the economies of scale. Larger homes do cost less to build than smaller homes, and they sell for less per square foot than smaller homes. So that is a particular issue. I would agree, though, that things have gone up, yes. How much, I don't know. I do believe that in some cases, rather than reflecting the market, the assessor tends to create a market for homes that don't really have recent sales on them. And it's hard to identify the difference.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Berlinski.
No questions.
Thank you. Either party want summation at all, Amanda?
I feel the value should be maintained, and houses of similar age should be considered, hold more weight than houses that are 20, 25 years older than the subject property. That's my summation.
Thank you. Final word?
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, I believe that this is outside the area of the comparables presented by the assessor. A more diverse selection is what I provided, and I think that should be considered. Also, please pay attention to the fact that it's a 2-bedroom home and that it does not have storm sewers, which down the road could be a large nut for the owner to chew as far as a cost if the CDA ever decides to put in storm sewers. Thank you.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, sir.
Thank you very much. It was nice seeing you.
Good seeing you. And results for your team. Thank you. Everybody okay for a break or anything? Or? Yeah. Okay. See you. All right, then we'll press on. We'll go to the next one, which is 256 Dunkirk Drive.
There is currently no applicant present.
No applicant. Therefore, I think what we'll do is we'll put it at the very end of the docket, then we'll deal with it. Panel members, you okay with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Therefore, we'll go to the next one on the docket, which is 83 Northport Bay. Mr. Lund.
The applicant is just connecting right now.
Okay. Via Zoom.
Mr. Durko, are you present?
Hello,
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Miles Durko.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Chairperson. Can we have another off camera?
Okay.
For a second? Yeah.
Okay. Could I shut it down again? 5 minutes, we'll take 5. Thank you. Wait 1
Mr.
second.
Durko, I'm placing you in the waiting room again. We're taking a short 5-minute recess.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and the property that we're dealing with is 83 Northport Bay. So I think we can have our secretary swear in the applicant.
We sworn them in already.
Okay, that's fine. So, or is he on line here?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, sir.
He's muted.
Good morning. We can't hear you yet.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Good morning, sir.
Okay.
We'll have the assessor do their presentation, and they'll take us through your property, and you may ask questions after that. That'll be our opportunity. Ms. Kilborn, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
Okay, this is for 83 Northport Bay, roll number 0609304840. The property is located in the Royalwood neighborhood. It's a one-story single-family dwelling built in 2006. It's 2,240 square feet with a finished walkout basement, 3 baths, central air conditioning, a fireplace, and an attached garage. There's a retention pond influence. The comparable properties are 31 Westwater Drive, 19 Waterton Drive, 31 Waterton Drive, and 113 Yorkwood Drive. They're all located in the same neighborhood. They're all built between 2005 and 2006. The square footages range from 1,926 square feet to 2,393 square feet. They all have finished walkout basements as well. 3 bathrooms, air conditioning, fireplace. Comps 1 and 2 have 2 fireplaces and attached garages. Their lot sizes range from 11,617 square feet to 13,059 square feet, and they all have the retention pond influence. The comparable sales, the sales time adjusted sales price range from $871,400 to $1,093,000, and the subject property was purchased in December of 2018 for $791,738 with a time adjusted price of $869,300. The 2023 value is $870, and I believe the value should be maintained.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Questions of the assessor?
Yes, I noticed you didn't mention the influences here in regards to the, there are some influences on my piece of property. Do you not have them in your notes? Like
The influence, the retention pond. Oh, and then the hydro box. Sorry, the hydro box influence and the retention pond I have for your property.
the hydro box, the communication box that's also there, the community mailbox that's there. You don't have that either.
No, I don't have the mailbox. No.
They all come into play. That's something you're missing. Now, I notice your time adjusted price here. We'll look at 31 Westwater. You've got it at $1,011,000 for your time adjusted price. And yet your assessed price, I've looked it up, is $916,000. So my question to you is, like, if you have an adjusted sale price, like, why aren't you using it for the assessed price?
I'm not looking, we don't compare assessments. So I haven't looked at any of the assessments. They could be, we haven't verified the sale yet. I don't know. I'm just looking at the sales prices for the subject property.
Well, the subject property sales price, you have it on your piece of paper here you've provided to me. It says it's $925,000.
Yeah, the sale price and then the time adjustment to be effective as of April 1st, 2021. I don't look at assessments when we're looking at the values. We're not comparing assessments. We just compare sales.
Well,
I don't have any assessment information on the properties.
I see.
So that's not what we look at.
Well, it reflects on the people's assessments, and the people's assessments are basically what you charge their property taxes based on, correct?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
You charge property taxes based on what the houses are assessed at.
Yeah, taxes are based on a percentage of your assessment, yes, times the mill rate for that year.
Right. So it's extremely relevant what the assessments are. I mean, that's what this is all about, right?
We're not comparing assessments when we're doing appeals. We look at sales. Sales are how we come up with values. That's what I'm stating right now. Yeah. Assessments could be wrong. The sales could be incorrect, or the information we have could be inaccurate on information. So we're looking at sales of similar properties to yours when determining the value.
Right. So you have two,
including your purchase price, which is in our reference period.
Okay, so I guess that you have two examples here. You have 31 Westwater
Mhm.
and you have 31 Waterton.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at the sales information that you just presented here on your presentation.
Mhm.
She did. In 925,000 on Westwater, and this was a sale price, and 1 million on Waterton.
Mhm.
And like I had said, you, in your assessments, you've actually assessed them less than the sale price. I don't understand why you would do that.
I just explained that the assessments could be incorrect. We could have not verified the sale yet. Information could be wrong. I can't speak on assessments. I can only speak on the sales that took place within your reference period.
Okay. So your time adjusted prices here, what are you trying to prove by your time adjusted pricing that you're doing?
That in this reference period, the sales have increased within the reference period. You're at the very low end of the sales.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's okay. Yeah, no more questions.
Thank you. Robert?
The sale price of $791, that's been verified in December 2018.
Yes.
But you're saying the comparables may or may not.
I don't look at the comparable assessments. I'm looking at the sales that took place.
Yeah.
And reviewing the sales.
So the sales.
Which they're at the very low end of the sales.
Yes. Okay, that's fine.
Bill?
Just to pick up on something you had stated about verifying the sales. You said when when you're looking at the other assessments, you haven't verified the sale yet.
No, I'm saying I haven't looked at other assessments. We don't look at assessments, and the Board of Revision doesn't look at assessments either. We look at sales.
I'm going to interrupt. We don't really look at the starting point on any appeal is looking at the assessment. But unfortunately, we don't, as I stated early in the address that I made, we don't compare assessments, okay? So the way we determine value is market value, the sale of various similar properties plus minus. So the assessment does have a bearing on it, but it's a starting point for almost like any appeal. So we don't compare assessments because they could be incorrect or under appeal.
Can I continue my question?
I'm sorry?
Can I continue my question?
Oh, yes, continue. Sorry,
So anyways, you said you didn't verify the sale, but you're using these sales as comparisons here.
Mm-hmm.
So are these sales verified?
Oh yeah, like looking at the sales, I look at the sales online. I can see the properties. I can see the information. Yes, they're all sales that took place online, and they're all arm's length sales. Yes.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
I like the fact that there are sales, and I look at the figure, the sale before time adjustment. I think that I won't bother to elaborate on that. So I have no further questions.
Okay.
Sir, the floor is yours for your presentation. So you can take us through your presentation, sir.
Okay. Good. Yes, I liked the fact that there's a sale price there that's been verified and confirmed. And I like the fact that two of the properties that we're drawing attention to that are very comparable, built in the same year, sold at sale prices of $925,000 and $1 million each. And their assessments, not their time adjusted sale price, but their assessments were actually decreased. They dropped. One went down 0.97% and the other one went down 0.3%. And although you don't look at assessments, I have to compare myself to all of my neighbors, and I have to look at assessments because you can time adjust a price anywhere you want. It's pretty irrelevant if I'm paying 10% in increase and my neighbors, who are very good comparisons, are actually getting their adjustments and they're getting their prices decreased. With the influences I have here on my property, I have, mailbox across the street here. I have easement from the pond. I have the voltage, the hydro out front, and I have the telecommunications sitting there too. And I look at these other two locations here, 31 Waterton and 33, wrong spot. Where are they here? 31 Waterton and 31 Westwater, which is on the assessor's sheet. And I look at the location those places have on the lakes that they're on. The one on Westwater is on a larger lake in the middle of the lake, which would be a much more desirable location. And it's in a community where people across the street and beside it all have comparable homes and comparable pricing. Versus my location at 83 Northport, where across the street I have the mailbox and I have homes that don't have the influence of the water and they're considerably less expensive and smaller. And the majority of the street here on Northport, there's only 4 properties that are adjacent to the water. And I happen to be the very first one. So I'm at the end of the lake, which is probably the least desirable location. That's why my property, I was able to buy it for considerably less than some of the assessments. And you look at the location on Waterton, 31 Waterton, which is across the lake and down towards the middle of the lake, has a much more desirable location on the lake, along with, again, the surrounding houses. The whole block is filled with $1 million properties. And the places across the street from it are all 800 and 900,000. So they keep the property value up. This house, prior to me buying it, had sat vacant for 1.5 years. It was up for sale. The people had moved to Toronto. So I guess that's about what I have to present. The fact that, there's a couple here that I had added in on my presentation too. There was another one here on Northport, 33 Northport, that did sale in, December of 2020. And the sale price on that house was $557,000. And the current assessed value now was dropped to $552,000, a decrease of 0.9%. So with these three comparisons and the assessments actually dropping, although I know you don't pay attention to that, I do, because that costs me money out of my pocket. These three properties all went down in price. Mine shouldn't be going up. I would be happy with it to stay the same, actually, at the $791,000 that it was purchased for back at the end of 2018, December 7th, 2018, which is what, 24 days outside of the assessment period? And that's the end of my presentation.
So for the record, I think you had said 791, correct?
That is correct, yes. That's what it's assessed at currently. And that was the sale price.
I thank you. Ms. Kilborn, questions of the applicant?
No, I don't have questions.
Bill, questions?
I said they all went down. I told them those.
So you want 791, what you paid for it in 18? Is that what you're asking?
December 7th, 2018, that's what I paid for it. When you compare it to these three comparisons that have all decreased over that same period of time.
But you paid 791 in 2018. So would you also agree that it's worth more 3 years later or 2.5 years later?
Not based on the examples here that we have. The two examples have decreased an average of 0.64%. So in reality, I would like to see mine decrease 0.64%, but I think it's fair that I just have it maintained. And this is in the relative time frame period. These are examples here that the assessor is providing. 31 Westwater and 33 Waterton. Waterton is across the pond here from me, the retention pond. And Westwater is in a much more desirable location with much higher value properties. And these have gone down over this period of time, this assessment period. Not mine. Mine's gone up 10%.
So I just want to, again, the value of your house. You paid $791 in 2018. So the value you're saying has not gone up in 3 years?
That's right.
The value is the same. So you would get $791,000 if you tried to sell it in 2021.
If I was lucky, based on these other ones going down in price, I might not get that amount of money.
The other one's going down in price. So your these other houses, you know, have gone down in value. Just the value of the house itself.
I know that they sold for more than they're being assessed at.
But have they gone down in value?
I don't know. I don't know why the city assessed them less than they actually paid for them. You would hope they would be able to retain the same value.
Question.
I thank you. Ms. Berlinky?
No questions.
I don't think I have any either. Ms. Kilborn, summation if you want.
Summation is based on the sales as well as the subject sale. I believe 870 should be maintained.
Sir, final word.
Yes, no surprises there. And of course, I believe that my property should be assessed at $791,000, which is quite fair and reasonable.
I thank you very kindly, sir. and results very soon. So thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Thanks. We'll go to 991 Woodbell Street. They're via Zoom.
Applicant to connect here.
Okay.
Mr. Pinks, can you please come on camera?
Yes, good morning.
Morning. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
It's Adam Pinks.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Morning, sir. Thank you for your patience. And
Yes, thank you to the board.
we'll have the assessor take us through that, your property, and
Yes.
you may ask questions after that. So, Ms. Kilborn, whenever you're ready.
Okay, this is for 991 Woodvale Street, roll number 0203013700. The property is located in the Kildonan Drive neighborhood. It's a one-story single-family dwelling built in 1956. It's 1,512 square feet with a partially finished basement. There's 2 bathrooms, central air conditioning, a fireplace, and a detached garage. The lot size is 8,100 square feet. The comparable properties are 8 Glenclow Avenue, 131 Willowdale Place, 5 Neal Place, and 15 Appleton Street. They're all one-story single-family dwellings built between 1950 and 1970. The square footages range from 1,359 to 1,646 square feet. They all have finished basements. Comps 1, 2, and 4 have 3 bathrooms, and comparable number 3 has 2 bathrooms. They all have central air conditioning. Comparables 2 and 3 have a fireplace, and comparables 1 and 4 do not. They have they all have attached garages, except for comparable 1 has a detached garage. Their lot sizes range from 5,650 to 7,909 square feet. And there's a corner influence for comparables 1, 3, and 4. The time adjusted price for the comparables is $380,100 to $471,100, or $251.89 to $291.70 a square foot. And the subject property was purchased in 2020 for $346,000 with a time adjusted price of $378,000. And it was a dated estate sale with some work that had been done to the property. So the value of $389,000, I believe, should be maintained.
I thank you. Mr. Pinks, questions of the assessor?
Yes, I believe I just have one question at this particular point. Does the assessor have the ability to look at pictures of the properties and see the actual interior and see how much, if any, work's been done?
Of the comparable properties, yes.
Correct. Yes? Okay. And this is my first time ever going through a proceeding of this nature. I guess that's not something that's required nor something that was submitted by yourself. Is that correct?
The pictures submitted? No. I can speak on those properties, but no, I did not submit pictures.
Okay. So where there's an absence of evidence with respect to any material improvements that have been made to the comparables that you've submitted.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
So there's no evidence as to what, if any, improvements have been made in those houses that you've submitted as your comparables?
No, I didn't submit any information. I can speak on those right now. I can say that comparables 1 and 4 would be the most comparable. They're dated. Comparable 4 is actually an estate sale sold as is. So 1 and 4 would be the most weight that I put on. Comparables 2 and 3 would have some upgrades to them, like the kitchen would have been a little bit more updated to those properties. So most of the value, the most weight is the comparables 1 and 4 for those properties.
Those will be all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if the board is prepared, I have very brief submissions. I trust the board has received my evidence and my brief, if I could call it that.
Mr. Pinks, can you just hold off for 1 second? I have to ask the panel members if they have any questions regarding the presentation by the assessor. So, Robert, any questions of the assessor?
No questions.
Bill, any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Kilborn, I see that the subject property was sold in May of 2020.
Yep.
For 346,000.
Yep.
And did you investigate that sale at all?
So I looked at it, and another assessor also looked at it. So the purchase price, it was an estate sale, and the time adjustment price for the 346 would be 378. So it was a dated property. It probably still is somewhat dated. There has been some work done to it. So the 378 to 389 is what we have it as, I believe, is a fair value for the 2023 reassessment.
All right, I thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pinks, we're ready for your presentation.
Thank you, and I will keep it brief. I know the board has many of these to go through. So,
You take your time.
Oh, well, perfect. I still anticipate being brief. So the house was listed in March of 2020. The list price was 309, and I think what is of particular importance is the list price itself was significantly less than the property tax assessment. The property was valued by the city at 348. The family, the estate that was divesting themselves of that property, valued it much less. So in saying that, it was listed at 309. And I did outline in my materials provided that there was a motivation for the purchase of this property. As I outlined, we had, my wife and I had our daughter, who was 1.5 at the time. We quickly outgrew the 2-bedroom condo we had. So it was a motivated sale in that respect. And that is what I would submit increased our offer on that house. Again, this happened right at the front end of COVID. There was still some uncertainty as to social distancing measures, so we were able to do a walkthrough of the house, albeit very briefly. And I outlined a number of issues or deficiencies that were found by us after the purchase. So the fact that the purchase price at 346 was actually still $2,000 less than the property tax assessment of 348, I think is indicative of the fact that the valuation at the time was on par. It was a difference of $2,000. And I would submit that valuation, well, the purchase price or the valuation, whether it's 346 or 348, is indicative of the actual value of that property. And when we look at the comparables that were provided by my friend here, we look at comp 1, that was sold for 340, and we look at comp 3, which was sold for 350. Ours fell right in between those two. So I do think that when we take the 346 sale price in the context of the comparables selling for around the same amount, that is the best indicator of what the property is worth. I won't spend much time going through my comparables. I did outline and I did want to concede that they are smaller properties by way of square footage. The material difference being the work that had been done in each of those respective properties. Again, as outlined, our house was built in 1956 and not a single thing had been materially improved since that time. Just one example was the bathrooms themselves did not even have exhaust fans. So how the previous owner would shower or bathe is beyond me. The point being, the property itself, in my respectful view, the valuation that should be determined is the effective sale price, or alternatively $2,000 more for the property tax assessment of 348. The one final point I would make is that it being a dated house, we do have intentions on renovating. And my understanding, having not gone through the process yet, is that through renovations, we will then be pulling permits. The city will be made aware of the material changes we're making, which will then be considered in any future property tax assessments. So my only concern today, or one of my primary concerns, is if the board were to find it being valued at what Ms. Kilborn is suggesting, in let's say a year or two from now, when permits are pulled, when improvements are made, the city then comes and says, well, look at all this additional work that's been done. The house is therefore worth even more. So the final point I would leave the board with is this. It's not to say that the property won't ever be worth $389,000, but in my respectful view, in its current state, the sale price is reflective of its value, and that is in conjunction with comps 1 and 3 provided by Ms. Kilborn, which are similar houses sold for, a difference of $10,000, so almost the same amount. That would be my submission. So just for clarification, I would say that the appropriate assessment value would be anywhere between $346,000 to $348,000.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kilborn, questions of the applicant?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Robert?
No questions.
Bill?
No questions.
I just have a couple. Unfortunately, Mr. Spinks, I think you're one of the victims of getting caught in regards to the bidding war when you're looking at houses.
Sorry, victim of getting caught. I missed the last part.
Okay. You probably got into a bidding war because you wanted the house itself.
So I appreciate the question because that was a point I wanted to clarify. We were one of 5 offers. We were the highest offer. So at no point was there any counter offer. At no point did we increase our bid. We effectively went in with the absolute top dollar amount that we were in a position to make at that time. So it's not a situation where we went in for a lesser amount and due to competition or we ended up raising our bid. We went in top value. We were the top bid. So while others making offers on the house was a consideration, and one of the reasons we did make the offer that we did at the value we did, it wasn't a situation where there was a quote unquote bidding war. We made one offer, it was accepted, and that was the end of it. And then again, the last further point I would make is we were able to remain in contact with the family of the estate that sold the property. And for what it's worth, and this is conjecture, I'm not submitting this as evidence, they were absolutely mind-blowing that we paid what we did for the house. Them having grown up there and seeing the state of the house, valued it at 309, and even then thought that that was a very generous assessment on their part. So again, with that in mind, I would submit the 346 was the appropriate value.
Did you impose any conditions onto the offer to purchase when you bought it?
Very little. It was subject to financing. I think that was really the only condition that we had.
Yeah. No engineer's report or anything like that?
No engineer's report, no home inspection, nothing. So again, kind of in the hasty way that we went through purchasing that home, I'll be candid with the board. It was the one and only home purchase that I've made. So that's a learning experience in and of itself. But it was a situation where after the fact, after offers had been accepted, and only after we moved into the house, we realized, okay, there's a lot more to be done than what was initially anticipated. And I did outline in my materials, and I don't want to belabor the point, but there were a number of issues that came up, subsequently after us moving in, for instance, roofs leaking and other things of that nature. So again, the property, there's been more money put into the property itself just to get it to, let's say, a livable space, which I think is then should be accounted for in terms of the valuation.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. I'll see Ms. Kilborn, questions of the applicant?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Panel members, any questions of the applicant?
No questions.
No questions.
All right. Either party wants summation at all?
No, that's everything.
I think my point's been summed up, but just for ease of reference, property tax assessment of anywhere between $346,000 to $348,000.
All right. Thank you for your presentation, sir, and results very soon.
Thank you for the board's time in hearing this today.
I'm sorry?
I said thank you for the board's time in hearing this morning.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just going to shut it down. And Amanda will come back to you because we'll just do some house cleaning here.
Okay.
So bear with us. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Amanda, we're going to go to the no-show, which is 56 Dunkirk Drive. So you can read the file number roll and give us a brief description.
Okay, sure. So for 256 Dunkirk Drive, file number 22-287, roll number 08002912-500. It's a 2 one-story single-family dwelling built in 1992, 2503 square feet with a full unfinished basement, 3 bathrooms, air conditioning, and attached garage with a 10,465 square foot lot on the Red River. And the value is $649,000, and I believe that value should be maintained.
Any contact there from the applicant?
No, I never spoke to the homeowner.
Bill, have any questions?
No question.
Robert?
None, no questions.
Amanda, I think
Yes.
That concludes everything in there. So thank you kindly for
Thank you.
questions, and thanks for your patience.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day. We have heard
Thanks.
all the scheduled items, and this hearing is now adjourned.